Hello, welcome to another video on dreaming. I wanted to stay with the same information that we've been working with the past couple of weeks. First, I want to go over how to identify what to look at and then talk about how to journal about it to open that information up using a combination of the Freudian and Jungian approaches. So to hear more about these, go to video 1. And then video 1 and 2. Video 1 covers how to set up some shorthand so it's easier for you to record your own dreams. Video 2 talks about the Freudian and Jungian approaches and how to blend the two. Video 3 is a journey to a dream guide. And then at the very end of this video, I will talk a little bit more about how to go on additional journeys and pose questions to your guide. So let's say, for example, you have a dream, and the dream was, last night I dreamt I was a clock, but my second hand kept getting stuck. I was in a large ballroom with 14 other clocks, and all of our timing was different. Let's say that's the beginning of your dream. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to go down your dream with either a highlighter or a underlining pencil or something, or even a colored pen, to circle some of the nouns and verb phrases that are important pieces in your dream. You can do this to every single element in a dream, but if it's a long dream, that's a lot to work with. But if you do this, when we get to the Gestalt approach, these highlights and circles will serve you there as well. So and I think probably not the next video. The next video will be some working with the arts to explore a little further. And then after that, we'll move on to Gestalt. So it's important to do this work if you want to continue on. Hopefully by now, everyone's had a dream that they can begin working with. If you don't have a dream, you can go to a past dream. If you have any recurring dreams, that can happen. And again, if you don't have a dream, setting your mind to dream, listening to some theta or binaural beat music to put you in a theta brainwave state before bed should help you jump into the dreaming state. I talked a little bit about that technology with drumming. The shamanic drumming is often done at a theta brainwave state. And then also singing bowls do have binaural beats that can put your brain into a different state. And it depends on the bowl, what state you're going to go into. So any of that technology can help you dream. Also, if you're really struggling, doing the guided journey to a dream guide, and then before you go to bed saying, calling on your dream guide and saying, I'd like you to help me go into a dream and remember the dream when I come out. And then having your recorder or your pad and paper right there, and having already come up with a shorthand that you understand, so that when you're furiously scribbling it down, you can get it even in a half awake state. So those are all important tools, those first few videos, to really get you started in dreaming. If you're having trouble, visit one of them, and then hopefully you will come up with a dream to do this work for this week. So last night I dreamt I was a clock, but my second hand kept getting stuck. I was in a large ballroom with 14 other clocks, and our timing was all different. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to circle clock. And then I'm going to take a second piece of paper and I'm going to divide it into two pieces. And the first side I'm going to put clock, and then I'm going to Google Dream Dictionary. This is the Freudian, that everything means a certain thing. So Google Dream Dictionary and Google what a clock means in the Dream Dictionary. Then on the right side of the paper, or you can even do that in the margins if you're doing college rule paper. So in the margin, write what it means when you Google it, what it means, right? The interpretive approach. And then on the main portion of the paper, I want you to just free write and do at least 3 minutes. You can keep it to 3 minutes, or you can go longer depending on how intense you feel when you think about that particular symbol. So for me, clocks are a big deal. I have what I call a clock graveyard, which is just a whole pile of clocks that don't work that I use in art pieces, sculptural art pieces or mixed media. Clocks do weird things with me. They stop when I put them on. The last 2 watches I owned, the last watch, one of them stopped every time I put it on, and the other one stopped every time I took it off. So I just, clock mechanisms and I don't really get along. So I don't wear watches. But in addition to that, as a kid, I always had trouble with time because I'm slightly dyslexic. So, and then I also always had trouble with time because to me, it seems to stretch long or get shorter depending on what's happening. And I feel that really acutely. If you know me, there's a hilarious story about how my sister got me to turn out the light for a whole year because I didn't understand that it had been a whole year. That's how profoundly time and I have a dance that just isn't resolved. And time is a powerful symbol for me. If I was someone else and time is just time, then I might ignore the clock altogether and go to a different symbol that has a little more emotional resonance for me. Does that make sense? So you can go through and circle all the nouns and all the verbs if you want, underline all the verbs if you want, just highlight everything. Or you can go through and find those symbols that seem to have the most meat on their bones, that are the most pithy or have the most emotional resonance, the strongest gut reaction, the ones you want to turn away from, or the ones you're just really drawn to. All of that means that there's a charge there. There's information there for you tied to your subconscious, and that's what we want to do. We want to bring that subconscious information up and make it conscious. And the beauty about symbols is sometimes they mean more than one thing at one time. So that's why we're free journaling. There's 2 reasons we're free journaling. One reason is because symbols have the power to convey more than one piece of meaning. A clock might be a clock face to me. For some reason, I might also associate it with turtle shells because my grandmother had this pin that was a turtle and a clock. So I see clocks as turtles. So they mean home. They mean grandmother. They mean slowing down. They mean, maybe they mean travel to me because it's like putting your home on your back and going. Or maybe they mean being rooted. So that's why we're free journaling. They mean more than one thing. Each symbol can mean multiple things at one time. In addition, each symbol, while there's a collectively agreed upon meaning, I'm using air quotes here, meaning for symbols, there is a meaning that is more appropriate to you. So those particular Googled reactions or dream dictionaries or Freudian interpretations don't take into account cultural histories. They don't take into account maybe you're a first-generation American or maybe you're a second-generation American and things have completely different meanings because you grew up somewhere else. Or maybe that's the meaning for the middle class, but you were super upper class or super lower class. I mean, there are so many different ways to connect to something. It's important to stop and pull in that Jungian perspective of what does it mean in my generational family history? What does it mean to me? And where do I fit in? So you're going to take the quote unquote set meaning and put it on one side and then free journal on the other. So all of those things about what a clock means to you, if this were your dream, if this were my dream, what a clock means to me, how I feel about time, all of that. So I'll do that for the word clock. Then I'm also going to do that for the word secondhand. And this is especially intriguing to me. What about a second hand? Why is it that the second hand keeps getting stuck and that the minute hand or the hour hand isn't getting stuck? What is it about a second hand that keeps track of? To me, reminds me of a heartbeat. It reminds me of a metronome. It reminds me of the breath. It reminds me of the moment-to-moment connection. So I'm going to journal about all of those things, as well as look up what the Dream Dictionary says a second hand means. I poke fun at that because I am a little biased here. I'm not interpretational. But I include this in working with dreams because it gives a very interesting stepping off point. What does the collective Western society think a thing means symbolically? And do I connect with that or do I disconnect with that? And very often, especially if I can't think of what to say about an item, looking that up will tell me. So it's up to you if you want to look up the dream interpretation piece first, or if you want to do a little free writing first, then look it up and then write a little more, or however you want to do that is up to you. Find what works for you the best when you're engaging. So I'm going to look up secondhand, and then it keeps getting stuck. So I'm going to look up, I'm going to Google things like time stopping, or sands getting stuck in an hourglass, or dreaming I'm stuck, or dreaming I'm an object. All of those things, because in this dream, I dreamt I was a clock. This is not a real dream that I had, but it's something I just made up on the spot, which is also very interesting to me. So I'm finding this intriguing that I decided to say all this. So I'm going to look up getting stuck and what that concept might mean and free write about it. If I don't find anything when I Google, because it's harder to find interpretations for very specific things like this, like a second hand keeps getting stuck, but it's you, that's a kind of a big deal. Then I'm going to Google, I was in a large ballroom. I'm going to Google ballroom. I'm going to Google large room. Did the room feel cavernous to me? I might Google cavernous room. Or did it feel really crowded? These are all important things to note, and especially as you free write, to take into consideration, because they're going to tell you more pieces of information about your dream. So I'm going to also do the number 14. What does numerology think? What does the cultural approach that I come from, my family, did they come from England, or did they come from Yugoslavia, or did they come from China? You know, where did we culturally come from? I might Google if there's any significance to the number within those histories. If I'm a specific religion, I might Google if there's a specific importance to that particular number. And then, and if numerology is not your thing, don't look that part up. It's not important to you. If it is important to you, look that part up. Do you get what I'm saying? So we're looking up what things mean from a dream dictionary approach, but the most important piece here is really investigating what do they mean in your collective history, in your family unit, in your cultural unit, in your everything that makes up you. What do they mean? And then I'm also gonna Google multiple clocks, because all the other clocks, and I'm gonna think that if I'm in a room, a large ballroom with a lot of other clocks, I'm gonna approach that as if they're other people, right? Because I'm a people normally, but in the dream I'm a clock, so I'm gonna do the same there. Maybe I have a really close tie with Disney, and there's a whole bunch about the movie Beauty and the Beast in there from the Disney perspective. Maybe I hate Disney, and so I'm looking up but I think of that, Beauty and the Beast. So then I look up the original tale in the original language, a translation into my language, and see what's in there, because there's a lot of layers in there. Or maybe I look up stories about people being changed into inanimate objects in my cultural history. Maybe I'm not a Disney fan at all. It doesn't occur to me Beauty and the Beast at all, but I start thinking about transmogrification from Harry Potter, because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, right? So what stories pop up for you? There's a book I read called A Mouse Stops Time, or Mouse in Time, that I forget who the author was. It was a young adult novel, but that was really a powerful book for me. And so I might free associate there. So you're looking at, what are these symbols quote unquote mean? And then what do they mean to me? What are they invoking in me? So really dividing up your page and free writing on each symbol and each action can be extremely powerful. And then after you've written, maybe you take 10 and you do 3 minutes a piece, right? So that's 30 minutes of your time. And then you might go back in, read what you've written, and highlight in your journaling the parts that really get you, that stand out to you. And that's going to pull in the meaning and begin to unravel the dream for you. And then if you do that far, so it's necessary to do these things before the next video, because we're going to do some art based on this. So I would say do at least 3 symbols, and at least 1 action from your dream when you go through the dream, and circle nouns or underline actions or verbs like timing was all different, or secondhand kept getting stuck. Those are actions or verbs. So do at least 1 action or verb word and at least 3 of the nouns that are the most powerful for you. And then do the journal piece about them. And then go back through and highlight what really stands out to you. So then you'll be ready for the next video next Friday. And we'll actually pull out some art supplies of any kind. If all you have is junk mail and old scraps of notes, then you'll use that. If you only have your kids' crayons, then you'll use your kids' crayons. Supplies don't matter. You're going to use what you have in the art piece, and it will be powerful no matter what you use. And it's actually best if you are not an artist, because this is not about being an artist. This is about finding out more information. So this is focused on process, not product. It's great if you end up with a product that's beautiful, but that is not our goal here. And if you get stuck in having a beautiful product, you're going to lose the information that you're trying to pull up through your subconscious. So set aside some time. You can watch the next video first if you want, or just pull out some art supplies and join along. And then we'll go from there. I'm excited for the art part. Really excited for the art part, and hope that you enjoy it, because the arts have really work with the subconscious, and they work pre-verbal, and so it helps us get even deeper to that connection of what is happening in our subconscious, which will help open up the dream for us. So that's the goal there. So you have to do the homework first. And then I said I was going to say a little bit about what to do with with working with your guide, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save that for a separate video later in the week, because I'm at 19 minutes and I've been talking your ear off. So we'll let you all go. If you're looking forward to that, look for that later in the week. I'll do it before next Friday. And it'll just be a quick little bit on working with your dream guide. So I hope you're having a good time with the dream work, and I will see you next Friday or before if you're interested in the dream guide. Okay.